not everybody can garden.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you say that vegetables, you know, it's been said that America has some of a bountiful supply of food. So can't you just go into the grocery stores and
Yeah, well, another thing that I see is important to teach our patients as well as the community is that it's not the economic injustices.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not an accident that we have more liquor stores in our community than access to accessible fresh organic vegetables. We only have one grocery store. And so, teaching our patients that it's not an accident, and the communities and the background of these patients, they lived on farms, even Hispanics, back in the South, African Americans, like
Right.
we all had a connection at one point to fresh, agriculture around our surroundings.
so why wouldn't this naturally be carried over? Given the backgrounds you mentioned of the African Americans, of the Pacific Islanders, of Latinos, in terms of agriculture, wouldn't one expect that those groups would naturally gravitate to getting fresh vegetables?
I mean, well,
Fresh
it's,
fruit?
well, it's common times. I mean, modern day society, we're worried about, work. We're worried about other stressors in our life that they put health and eating healthy on the back burner.
Well, I think there's another piece. East Palo Alto is officially designated as a food desert. There are not enough stores. This is not us just saying that. I mean, that's what it's been labeled as, a place with not enough opportunities for people to get fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. So I think that's one piece of what you see. And I was talking, we talk to people about this because I think that everyone here, we're trying to get that traction, trying to return people. How did Kathleen say it? It's just return people to the earth, bring people back to earth, down to earth.
But that would be not just for people in East Palo Alto.
No, that
but
would be
people,
everyone.
Yes, all over the country, right?
Right.
Who rely a lot on fast food
I mean, and we
restaurants.
get lost in the connection of where our food actually comes from.
Well, I
And
think-
so that's a part of the reason why I love it for our Pacific Islanders is that they don't know our food is not the meat that they eat is not from California. They're from Midwest or somewhere far away. By the time it gets here, who knows what condition it's in. I mean, they have no.
And liquid slime.
Yeah, I mean, they have no connection. Their education is not. That's not a priority for them. It's,
And it's just different.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
just different.
for people
For them
who
to
came from
learn.
rural Mexico,
Yeah.
they had a lot of the patients that I work with the Latino group a lot, and they're coming from rural Central America where they had all of their meat within their community,
Yeah.
and they knew when it was
Shared,
slaughtered.
yeah.
They knew how, and when they come here, they're not aware that there's an industrial system behind the meat production, and that they assume that
So
when you go
what-
to the store and if you go to a carniceria and you buy your meat there, just like you would in Mexico, that you're getting
was
it from
slaughtered,
a
yeah.
single source, and it was
What
slaughtered.
difference does it make?
It has huge health impacts.
For example,
So meat that's raised in the industrial food system is fed grain, which cows did not evolve to feed grain, so they have much higher contamination with E. coli bacteria, which we've seen in the last few years have had huge health impacts and have caused many deaths around the country.
well, that reminds me, they used to, at one point, feed cows the residue from other farm
Yes,
animals.
They still do.
I think that's being outlawed because of the
they're
brain
not allowed
disease.
they're not allowed to feed them other cows because of mad cow disease, but they still feed them other animals.
But they're herbivores,
Right.
which means they should be eating grass.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
not so-
But that's
Okay,
not what
But
they're
I
given.
think that's a whole. I mean,
Yeah,
this
this is
is
a whole-
fascinating. But I think that to your issue
original.
of gardening, I'm gonna take us away from the meat for a moment.
Yeah.
I think.
But it's no,
Mhm.
but go on. No, I think this is important when we're talking about proper nutrition and people's knowledge of where their food comes from and why it might be important to know where your food comes from.
I mean,
And
and
choose
it's cheaper.
widely.
We're teaching our patients that it's a lot cheaper to, why is it that broccoli is more expensive than a hamburger
from McDonald's.
at McDonald's? And what are the health effects of eating a hamburger, which is $1, as opposed to paying your medications that may be more than $1. You know, and they won't. It's very important for
And
them
I-
to understand
And
where.
I think this is why gardening is such a critical piece of the work that we do together, because here we have patients who have chronic diseases that are related to poor diets, and their doctors are telling them you need to eat differently. But they're also facing economic pressures, and it can be more expensive to eat in the way that their doctors are telling them to. So when we bring in the autonomy, the skills to grow your own food, and the resources to be able to grow your own food affordably, then patients have the opportunity to make those health choices, to eat differently, and to grow their own food while doing it.